Rabotai, at the beginning of chapter 6, we learn that David HaMelech gathered 90,000 special men. What it means, special men? The chosen men, we explain. And David actually appointed him as a rabbi, given him smicha. And they all become, not only that they become a rabbi, they also become a dayanim. We explain that to his own advisor, Ahitophel, he didn't give him the title. And Ahitophel was very cross about it, and he kept grudge. We'll just quickly do the revision, and I will explain. Also, we explain that that David HaMelech chose those 90,000 people. It was because he wanted them to come with him to bring the Holy Ark from Kiryat Yearim to Yerushalayim. Kiryat Yearim, we say that it's Kiryat Matesdof, okay, in the entrance to Yerushalayim, next to Kibbutz Shoresh. Okay, what's happened then? We explained that David HaMelech and his men, they make a complete new wagon, and with that new wagon, David HaMelech was planning to bring the Holy Ark to Yerushalayim, and it was David HaMelech actually put the Holy Ark on top of the new wagon, and they start moving towards Yerushalayim from Kiryat Yearim, and suddenly happened something very strange, that they saw that the cows that was actually pulling the wagon, not only that they collapsed, they actually disintegrated. And what happened? Uzzah that saw that, he was thinking that the Holy Ark gonna fall, and immediately he ran. He done 6 steps, we explained, and he hold the Holy Ark. By that he hold the Holy Ark, he been struck and died. We explained the mistake of David HaMelech was by that David HaMelech didn't realize that the Holy Ark have to be carried by the Leviim, and not carried on top of a wagon, because the Holy Ark carried only by the Leviim. When David HaMelech saw that, he gone completely to a standstill. He got frozen. He didn't know what to do. We explained. David HaMelech realized that something wrong, but he didn't know what was wrong. So immediately he asked his own advisor, Ahitophel. We explained Ahitophel was in halachically term the same like the Urim and Tumim. He was very scholar person that all the rest of the Jewish people cannot reach to his legs. But because David HaMelech didn't appoint him and didn't give him the title as a Dayan, as a rabbi, Ahitophel kept the grudge against David HaMelech. And when David HaMelech approached him and asked him, Ahitophel, what's happening here? Ahitophel answered David HaMelech, Chazal say, David, why are you asking me? Ask the 90,000 people that you appoint them as a rabbi, that you given him the title as a rabbi and as Dayanim. Why are you asking me? And we explained that here we saw that Ahitophel, okay, he kept grudge to David HaMelech, and because he kept the grudge to David HaMelech, we learn something very important, that David HaMelech, okay, realized that what he done was the right thing, not to give him a title, And David HaMelech put a bit of pressure on him. And he said to David HaMelech, you know why has it happened? Because you didn't brought sacrifices. But that wasn't the answer. He misled David. The answer was because the Levim never carried the, what do you call it? The Levim never carried the ark on their shoulder. Okay? But we also explained that you learn from here how wicked was Ahithophel. That he didn't care about people dying. All he cared about himself and how to take revenge against David HaMelech. Okay? But David HaMelech suddenly realizes something wrong here. And he decides that he can't take the Holy Ark to Ir David. It's impossible. They're not ready to take it to Ir David. And they decide that they're going to take it to Oved Giti. We explained that Oved Giti was a Levi from the tribe of the Levi. He lived in a city of Gad that is a little bit further than Kiryat Yarim towards Jerusalem. And David HaMelech brought the Holy Ark to his house. And Oved Giti actually designated a special room for the Holy Ark. And he kept sweeping, he kept cleaning the room, and he kept complete purity and holiness in that room. And we explained that the Holy Ark was there for 3 months. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed Oved Giti and his 8 boys, his 8 daughter-in-law, that all his wife and his 8 daughter-in-law fall pregnant, and each one delivered, okay, 6 in one time, 6 kids, 6 boys, we explained. HaKadosh Baruch Hu not only that blessed them prosperity, also bringing them bnei hayeh umzoneh. For those 3 months that Oved Giti been blessed, for those 3 months that he looked after the Holy Ark, HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed him. When David HaMelech realized what's happened after 3 months, that he heard that Oved Giti got blessed, immediately David HaMelech decided that now it's the time to bring the Holy Ark to Ir David, to Jerusalem. So he brought the Leviim, and the Leviim now carry the Holy Ark. Remember, we explained that Ahithophel given the wrong advice to David HaMelech. David HaMelech bringing the Leviim, the Levite, and the Levite carrying the Holy Ark to Ir David, to Yerushalayim. We explained. When David HaMelech saw what happened, the prophet telling us that David HaMelech, every 6 steps that he done, him and the Leviim and the people used to sacrifice, okay, a bull. That's what David HaMelech done. We explained that every 6 steps that the Leviim stepped, and David HaMelech used to slaughter, okay, the korban, okay, and we explained that the korban that they used to bring, it's 7 bull, okay, and 7 ram, okay. That was the korban. It's called Shor Mari. That's the name of the korban. But we explained no, it wasn't like this. We explained that the Ralbag say that for every 6 steps that Uzzah steps that he ran, because Uzzah was on the side of the wagon, and we say that he stepped 6 steps to hold the Holy Ark, okay, because he was thinking that the ark gonna fall, okay. For in the merit of that, they slaughtered those korbanot. Later on, we explain that the Radak explained, no, it wasn't that. We explained that the matter of fact, we're talking about 36 steps. It's 6 times 6, okay? So we explained that here was something completely different, but let's leave it for now. That was in the last show. And that's basically where we stop. So we're going to start Be'ezrat Hashem, verses 14 and 15. We're going to read now. ודוד מקרקר בכל עוז לפני אדוני, ודוד חגור אפוד בד, ודוד וכל בית ישראל מעלים את ארון אדוני בתרועה ובקול שופר.
David danced with all his strength before Hashem. David was girded in a linen tunic. David and the entire house of Israel brought up the ark of Hashem with a loud, joyous sound and the sound of a shofar.
What's happening here? Short of the dvarim, that now that David HaMelech realized what was wrong in the previous time that he tried to bring the Aron Hashem, that in that time they danced and they was happy, but they didn't have the fear of God. It was more in a joy and happiness. This time, the prophet tell us that David HaMelech not only that done it with joy and happiness, but they have the fear of heaven. What does it mean? The prophet tell us that David HaMelech danced with all of his energy, with all of his strength. He was jumping. Rabotai, we have to understand that's a king. A king not allowed to do it. We'll see, we'll speak about it. But David HaMelech decided, no, this is the honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm going to joy and jump and try my absolute best to be joy, but with the fear of heaven. Be'yirah, with fear. The prophet continue and tell us something very interesting. David HaMelech was wearing a special linen tunic. Ma hidush? Ma hidush? What was the hidush? Rashi HaKadosh explained that it was a special clothes. That tunic was a special clothes that made from linen. Pshat of the dvarim linen. The Radak say that only people with a special or very honored people can wear those clothes, used to wear it. The Malbim explained no. That was a clothes that only royal people can wear. The Radak, okay? The Malbim say it's only a clothes that, the Radak explains only royal people can wear it. The Ma'ari Kara, Rabbi Yosef Kara, he born 960 years ago in France. He said that it was a tunic. You have to understand what's so special about it. It was a tunic that it was from the hips until the ground. And that's what David HaMelech wear, okay? And those people, all of those people that gather around David HaMelech, that while David HaMelech was wearing those special clothes, what did David HaMelech command the people that was with him? That they have to understand that they have to blow the shofar. And here come something that we have to understand. That they not only blow it to make a sound. The sound of the shofar, Hazal say, Ha'itaka shofar ba'i ve'aish lo yechrad. Can it be that the sound of the shofar are going to be heard and people not going to have a fear? That means the idea of the shofar was to put everyone in kind of a proportion, to understand that it's not just a joy. It's a joy to bring the Holy Ark to Jerusalem, but with it, it has to be done with fear of heaven. And that's what the prophet tried to tell us. Nachon that David HaMelech was jumping and dancing with the utmost strength that he had, that it was with fear of heaven this time. And that's the difference between this time to the previous time. In verse 16, look what the prophet tells us. והיה אהרון השם בעיר דוד ומיכל בת שאול נשקפה בעד החלון ותראה את המלך דוד מפזז ומקרקר לפני ארון אדוני ותיבז לו בליבה.
And it happened, as the ark of Hashem arrived at the city of David, that Michal, daughter of Saul, peered out the window and saw King David leaping and dancing before Hashem, and she became contemptuous of him in her heart.
What I want to understand, and I will explain what's happening here. I'm going to start with a pshat, and later on, towards the end of the show, I will explain the depths behind it. The prophet tells us that David HaMelech, when he get closer to Jerusalem, to Ir David, what Michal see? Michal looked from the window, and she saw her husband, the king of Israel. She saw David HaMelech dancing, jumping, and she didn't like it. Pshat of the Dvarim, and in her heart, she said, my husband is so lightheaded. Hazal say, why did she felt it about David? We have to understand. The Mefarshim explain in the Gemara Masechet Eruvim. Okay, we're going to bring it shortly. The Gemara in Masechet Eruvim say that Michal saw when David HaMelech was jumping, dancing. Okay, it's not an honor of a king. Okay, to do such thing. But the Gemara say no, something else happened. What happened? We said that David HaMelech was wearing that linen tunic, okay? That's when David HaMelech was jumping, it's revealed part of his heel, of his legs. And Michal said, where is the Kedusha of David HaMelech? Hazal explained, if you remember, that one thing about the house of King Saul, that they was very modest. And Shaul's and the house of Shaul was very modest, and Michal was the daughter of Shaul, we explained. And she couldn't understand how her husband, the king of Israel, revealed part of his leg by the heel. She couldn't understand that. She couldn't accept it. And that's why, that's the drush of the idea, that she felt lightheaded about David. You know, she wasn't happy with the act of David. Okay, Rabotai, here, just remember that I spoke about the drush. There is a sword behind it that I will explain in here. In verse 17 to 19, okay, we see something very interesting. It's speaking about bringing the Holy Ark, okay, to his place. Look what it said. ויביאו את ארון אדוני ויציגו אותו במקומו בתוך האוהל. אשר נטל לו דוד, ויעל דוד עולות לפני אדוני ושלמים. ויחל דוד מעלות את העולה והשלמים, ויברך את העם בשם אדוני צבאות. ויחלק לכל העם, לכל המון ישראל, למאיש ועד אישה. לאיש חלת לחם אחת, ושפר אחד, ועשישה אחת, וילך כל העם איש לביתו.
They brought the ark of Hashem and set it up in its place, within the tent that David had pitched for it. And David brought up elevation offerings before Hashem and peace offerings. When David had finished bringing up the elevation offering and the peace offerings, he blessed the people with the name of Hashem, Master of Legions. He distributed to all the people, to the entire multitude of Israel, man and woman alike, to each person, one loaf of bread, one portion of beef, and one container of wine. Then all the people left, everyone to his home.
What's happening here? The Mefarshim explain, after the Levi'im brought the Holy Ark to Yerushalayim, and they put it on a place that David HaMelech designated. He made a special tent because Bet HaMikdash wasn't built yet. Okay, David HaMelech now have to bring sacrifices to thank Hakadosh Baruch Hu, number one, that given him the opportunity to bring the Holy Ark to Yerushalayim. Okay, but David HaMelech, when he finished to sacrifice the elevation, the Korban Olah and the Korban Shlamim in honor of Hakadosh Baruch Hu, David HaMelech now done another act, because he was in such a high level spiritually, he blessed the entire children of Israel. But look what it said. He blessed them with the holy name, the Master of Legion, the God of Legion. What is the God of Legion? So the Mefarshim explain the God of Legion, it's a holy name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We'll explain now what does it mean. The Radak, Rabbi David Kimhi. Rabbi David Kimhi born in France 865 years ago. The Radak explained that you have to understand the God of Legion, it's one of the holy name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You know why? Because in that name, it means that the Almighty have a God in a legion in the heaven and a legion on earth. That means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's the master of all the legion in heaven and on earth. Okay? The prophet continued in saying that David HaMelech now done another act of hesed, another act of kindness. He given every man and every woman, okay? He first of all, he gathered them. And then he distribute a loaf of bread, okay? A portion of meat, okay? What was the portion of that meat? Many of the Mefarshim ask, okay, a bread, I can understand a loaf of bread. But you're telling me that he given a portion of meat. How much meat? What is that portion? Rabbi, listen to that. The Mefarshim explained that it was 1/6 of a bull. Take a bull, how much meat gonna come? 1/6 of it divided by 6, and 1/6 of it is given to every person. You know how much meat is it? Not only that, David HaMelech then given a special jar that it was he filled it up with wine. And that's how David HaMelech distribute to the children of Israel. And then after all of that ceremony, the prophet tell us that every person returned to his place, okay, after they brought the Holy Ark to Yerushalayim. here we see that David HaMelech done two different acts. Number one, he done the sacrifice in honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Number two, he done another act of Chesed. What was the act of Chesed? That he makes sure that he given food to the entire Jewish people. And Hazal tell us that, I think this is my opinion, okay? You don't have to, this is my humble opinion, that Hazal tell us that if there is a simcha and you don't give a portion to the poor people, has v'shalom, there is midat adin mekatreged, the character trait of judgment, that's the Satan, the evil inclination, saying, you see, David HaMelech enjoy, his men enjoy. What about the poor people? David HaMelech done here an act of chesed, that he fed the poor people. Isn't that amazing? Just to think that in a time of joy and happiness, David HaMelech bringing the Holy Ark to Yerushalayim, the Leviim carry it to Yerushalayim, David HaMelech not only suddenly remember, listen, it's Ben Adam Lamakom, between man and Almighty, so he start bringing sacrifice to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for allowing him to bring it up to Yerushalayim, the Holy Ark. He also distribute for every person that was there in that ceremony a loaf of bread, 1/6 of a bull, and a jar of wine. It's just to think about it, that David HaMelech planned it all. Look at the logistic behind all of it. Let's go to verses 20 and 23, and with that we're going to finish the chapter, because I want to go back to what we spoke earlier with Michal and David, because I want to explain that in depth. But first, I want to finish the chapter. וישוב דוד לברך את ביתו, ותצא מיכל בת שאול לקראת דוד, ותאמר, מה נכבד היום הזה? מלך ישראל, אשר נגלה היום לעיני עמו עבדיו, כי יגלות נגלות אחד הריקים. ויאמר דוד אל מיכל, לפני אדוני, אשר בחר בי מאביך ומכל ביתו, לצוות אותי נגיד על עם ישראל. ושיחקתי לפני השם, ונקולתי עוד מזאת, והייתי שפל בעיניי ועם האמהות אשר אמרת, עמהם אכבדה. And then he finished, look what the prophet said, ולמיכל בת שאול לא היה לה ילד עד יום מותה.
David returned to bless his household. Michal, daughter of Saul, went out to meet David and said, how honored was the king of Israel today, who was exposed today in the presence of his servants, manservants, as one of the boors would be exposed? David answered Michal, in the presence of Hashem, who chose me over your father and over his entire house to appoint me as ruler over the people of Hashem, over Israel, before him, Hashem, I shall rejoice, and I shall behave even more humbly than this, and I shall be lowly in my eyes, and among the maidservants of whom you spoke. Among them will I be honored. Michal, daughter of Saul, had no child until the day of her death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We see that David HaMelech, after he was so happy and he blessed the children of Israel, now he wanted to come and bless his wife and his kids. Now, we explained that Michal was his beloved wife. That was David HaMelech's first wife, and he loved her. Michal, we explained, didn't like the way that David HaMelech behaved when he brought the Holy Ark to Yerushalayim. So she gone to welcome him. But I'm actually frightened when I say that. But I have to be careful what I'm saying, because we're talking here about giant of people. Michal approached David HaMelech and actually wasn't so happy, I'm saying the least, the way that he behaved, and she told him that. And she said to him, how can you, as a king of the children of Israel, behave like you behave? David HaMelech answered her, and we have to understand why I say I want to take some time to explain what's happening here with Michal. He said to her, listen, HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose me over your father. David HaMelech, oh, wait, your wife has something to say to you, to argue with you. What are you bringing her father to the picture? What does that have to do with Shaul? Remember that question number one. Then David HaMelech said to her, I'm going to be more humble in the front of the Almighty, okay? And I'm going to bring it up. The Aron HaKodesh, if I have to do, even I have to do more, I will be more humble in the front of the Almighty and the people that was with me, the maidservant, whatever those people that was there. That's not the point. The point is that he said humble. Okay? And then the prophet said, and Michal, from that day, didn't have any more children. She didn't have any more child. That means that Michal had a child before. But from that day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't give her any more children. Okay? Until here, that's Pshat of the Dvarim. So we have to understand why, first of all, Michal was so upset with David HaMelech. So we explain, Pshat of the Dvarim, that David HaMelech danced and behaved not according to a way that the king danced. Hazal tell us in a Gemara in Masechet Kedushin, Daf Lamed Bet, okay, Lamed Bet 32, folio 2. Hazal say like this: Melech shemahal al kvodo, kvodo eno mahul. A king that forgive his own honor, his honor not forgiven. What does it mean? A person that if someone embarrass a king can't forgive him. Can't forgive that man. If someone embarrassed the king and says something wrong to the king can't say, I forgive you. He must be punished. Say Michal to David HaMelech, explained the Mefarshim. Michal said to David HaMelech, listen to me. David, you're king. How did you behave the way that you behave? Okay? There is halacha. A king cannot forgive his honor. And here, you dance, everyone saw your feet, saw part of your legs, although that you wear that long linen tunic, part of your leg got exposed. And the way that you dance, the way that you happy, not in honor of a king. She said to him, David HaMelech, you know why I'm saying it, said the Mefarshim? That she said to David HaMelech, Michal said to David HaMelech, David, look what's happened to my father. My father, when he been appointed as a king, when the prophet Samuel anointed him Certain people didn't want him. What did my father done? Gone home. He forgave those people that spoke badly about him. That was the first mistake that my father done. That what caused my father to lose his kingdom. The second mistake that my father done, that he didn't kill Amalek. And that's why he loses his kingdom. Michal said to David HaMelech, I'm worried about you. Michal loved David HaMelech, Rabotai. She loved him with all her heart. She said to him, David, I care about you. Do you want to lose your kingdom the same like my father lost? You saw what's happened to my father. My father was a king. He was not supposed to forgive those people that spoke badly about him. And look at you dancing like this. What is the people going to look at you? David HaMelech answered her that the Almighty chose me over your father. What does it mean over your father? I've done it for the sake of the Almighty. I didn't done it for my sake. I danced. I joyous. I was happy. And I tried the utmost energy that I had to be in joy and happiness and fear to bring the Holy Ark. There is a difference between me and your father. Your father, when they told him that certain people of the nation didn't want him, he said, okay, I agree with them. Who given you the rights to agree with them? Said David HaMelech to Michal. With me it was different. I done it for the sake of heaven. Said the Mefarshim that David HaMelech answered Michal when he mentioned her father. Now I'm answering more. What does it have to do with Shaul HaMelech? He said the mistake was that your father done for his own sake. But he didn't. He shouldn't. Sorry. He shouldn't. Because he been anointed by the prophet Samuel. And if there is people that embarrass the king, they should be punished. Your father never punished them. That was the difference between me and your father. I'm now not David HaMelech. When it's come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm not the Melech, I'm David. I'm not the king. In the front of the Almighty, I'm the most humble man. In the front of the nation, then I'm the king. But it's when it's come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm not. I can't be a king because I don't have an honor enough to be a king in the front of the king of the legion. And that was the argue between David and Michal. Michal was upset with David because she cared about David, said the Mefarshim. Michal was worried because she saw what's happened to her own father. He lost his kingdom because when people didn't want him, when people told you that they don't want you as a king, they actually embarrass you. What did Shaul HaMelech done? Because he was a very humble man. Shaul HaMelech gone back home. Said David HaMelech, that's different. That's human being. In that time, you should be very strong with those people. But me, that I'm dancing in the front of the Holy Ark, who am I doing it? In the front of the people? I'm exactly like them. I'm not a king because we're talking here about the king of the legion. And that's why David HaMelech mentioned here Shaul HaMelech. Now we understand what does it have to do, the argument that Michal and David have, and David HaMelech sort of suddenly bring in Shaul HaMelech. You understand? Okay. Then he says something very interesting, the prophet tells us. That although that Michal, listen, the prophet tells us that Michal, the daughter of Shaul, לא היה לה ילד עד יום מותה. She didn't merit to have a child until the day that she died. So we have to understand what the prophet tried to tell us. Rabotai, it's a message to all of us. The prophet tried to teach us important message here. Nachon that Michal, we explained, cared about David HaMelech. Michal loved David HaMelech. And because of that, she actually appointed David HaMelech. Listen, she said to him, listen, that's not the way that a king behaves. Although that she cared about David HaMelech, come the prophet and tell us that she didn't have a child until she died. So what's the hidush? Said the Mefarshim, you learn from here that HaKadosh Baruch Hu enjoyed so much the act of David HaMelech, and he appreciated David HaMelech, that he punished Michal. Although that she done it for the sake of a husband, because she was scared about him, that he wouldn't lose his kingship, she really cared about David HaMelech, she's still being punished. To teach us, Rabotai, here a message, very important message, that a person have to understand why has it happened. The Malbim, Rabbi Meir Lebush Michael Weiser, Ben Yehiel Michael Weiser, he born in Ukraine 216 years ago. He bringing a different interpretation, and he said, you know why Michal didn't have kids? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't want that the descendants of Shaul to multiply. Said the Mefarshim, from here you learn something very important. David HaMelech done it for the sake of heaven. HaKadosh Baruch Hu agree with him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu appreciate what David HaMelech. From the other way, although that his wife cared about him, she been punished. To show you when it's come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a person have to understand that a personal cover not exist. And that's what David HaMelech tried to teach us in this verse. David HaMelech tried to teach us that when it's come, when there is Achnasat Sefer Torah, when people bring in Torah to the shul, you know, or any other thing have to do with the Kedusha of the Almighty, like they're building a new shul and people celebrating, it have to be number one with the fear of heaven. Everything have to be with joy and fear. But a person cannot say, it's not in my honor to dance. It's not in my respect, you know, look at me. I'm an important person. In the front of the Almighty, no one is important. A person has to feel humble and to behave with the utmost humbleness when it's come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I think that's the message of the discussion. I'm frightened to say the argument that Michal and David have. The Mefarshim explain that because, you know why Michal didn't have child? Because when she came to speak to David HaMelech was at the utmost level, high level, spiritually. And he blessed the nation and he wanted to bless his own wife. And because now she calls David HaMelech to be, she brought his spiritual level of joy and happiness a bit down because he got upset. He couldn't bless her. And when he couldn't bless her, she couldn't have a child. Measure for measure. Because Hazal explained when a person, when he's happy, when he's have the fear of heaven, he been elevated spiritually. Then whatever came out of his mouth can be granted. The blessing that he said can be granted. But here, Michal, the daughter of Shaul, upset David. She lost it. Said the Mefarshim, from here you have to be very careful. Okay, that if the husband in a high spiritual level, and I'm not talking about drunk people that go to shul and or Simchat Torah or Purim and getting drunk, that's not spiritual level. Has v'shalom. Spiritual level, it doesn't say that David HaMelech was drunk. David HaMelech, the Mefarshim said, the prophet said that he jumped with all of his strength. He was in a high level spiritually. And that's how people get prophecy. Yonah Navi, the prophet Jonah, Hazal said that Haya me'oleh regalim. He was a normal person. How did he got prophecy? The prophecy? Because he danced in Simchat Bet HaShoeva. He danced and he danced and he danced. From joy and happiness, he got this prophecy. Michal, by that she argued with her husband, that's it, she lost it. There is, I read another interpretation, that if Michal would be blessed by David, she will have a child, her child will be a king, not King Solomon. Look what she lost. So it's a message for us, it's a message for the man, for the woman, how much we have to be careful. When it's come to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I'm not talking about those that drink to get happy. That's not joy and happy, no. I don't know what is it, what you want to call it, but that's not joy and happy. The prophet doesn't tell us that David HaMelech drank. You don't need to be in a happy mood to drink. If you're drinking, then you're not in a joy and happy. You're happy because you're happy for the Almighty. And that's the Hidush. And Be'ezrat Hashem, that we should reach to that level of happiness and joy that we can celebrate. Be'ezrat Hashem, speedily in our day, the building of Bet HaMikdash, Amen, Ken Yiratzon.